today I learned Abaca. Let's go.
Welcome to science. Let's take a look at this chart and the 3 parts of a seed. Give me all 3 parts, Jacob.
Seed coat, baby plant, stored food.
Yes, seed coat, baby plant, and stored food. Which one protects the baby plant, Tyra?
Seed coat.
You've got it. All 4 parts of a flower, Lexi.
Flower, leaves, stem, root.
Good. What do we call the part that makes the seeds, Carson?
Flower.
The flower. What do we call the part that makes food for the plant? Gage.
Stem.
No. Arthur?
Leaf.
The leaf is the correct answer. Which one holds the plant up? Madison?
Stem.
Yes. Which one absorbs water and minerals from the soil? Aiden?
Roots.
You've got it. Now let's take a look at that food making process. What do we call the food making process found in leaves? Cadence? Presley? Jimmy?
Photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. Class, repeat. Photosynthesis. Here's a tip for you. Photo has to do with light. Synthesis means to put together. So it is putting together, and specifically photosynthesis in plants is producing or making that food. Let's take a look at this plant and this photosynthesis process here. Photosynthesis is taking all of those ingredients and making that food for the plant. What provides energy in the process of photosynthesis? Tyra? Gage.
Sunlight.
Yes, it is the sunlight. What do we call the green material found in the leaf? Josh? Lexi?
Chlorophyll.
Yes, it is chlorophyll. Let's say chlorophyll together. Begin. Chlorophyll. 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 So when you think chlorophyll, you think green. That's the green material in photosynthesis. So we've got sunlight with the energy, chlorophyll. What is the gas that the plant needs in order to be able to make that food, Arthur?
Carbon dioxide.
Yes, carbon dioxide is the one that it takes in. What is the gas that it puts back into the air, Jacob?
Oxygen.
Yes, and that's what people and animals breathe in. What else does the plant need in photosynthesis? It gets this from often the soil through the roots, pulling this up through the plant. Josh. Caden.
Water.
Water. What is it, Josh?
Water.
Water is correct. So you've got water, sunlight, chlorophyll, and carbon dioxide. Those are the ingredients that are needed in the process of photosynthesis. Jackson Lights, scorekeepers at the side. Adriana, number 1 for the girls. Aiden, number 2 for the boys. First girl and boy, Jackson and Madison. Students watching, you be ready to give me some fast, correct answers to see if you can beat these contestants. Our first question, dormant means to?
West.
Tie, both teams a point. Well done. All flowering plants have?
Teeth.
Boys have it. Next 2. Replenish means to?
Refill.
Tie, both teams a point. What word means to make more of its kind?
Reproduce.
Boys have it. Next 2. On what day did God create plants?
Day.
Wait till I finish. Both are correct. We'll give it as a tie to both teams. Next 2. Tell me the part of the seed that I leave out. Baby plant food.
Seed coat.
Seed coat. Way to think, Morgan. Next 2. Carson and Carly. Tell me the material that I leave out that a plant needs in order to sprout and grow. Air, right temperature.
Water.
Boys have it. Next 2. Dev and Lexi. What holds the plant in the ground, absorbs minerals and water from the soil?
Roots.
Both are correct. We'll call that a tie. Both may get a point. Next 2. So Caden and Anna. Which part of the plant holds the plant minerals up and sends food down?
Step.
Tie, both teams a point. Next job. Next 2. Well done. What do we call the root's mouth?
Inhales.
Tie, both teams a point. Asa and Madison. Which direction do the roots grow?
Center.
Tie, both teams a point. Good. Jackson and Cadence. Tell me the part of the plant that makes food for the
Sweet.
plant. Yes, boys have it. Jacob and Una. Tell me the green material in plants.
Chlorophyll.
Both are correct. Both teams a point. Well done. Wait for me to finish. What is the gas given off by people and animals that plants need?
Carbon dioxide.
Tie, both teams a point. Thank you for waiting for me to finish. Presley and Tyra. What do we call the food making process in green plants?
Photosynthesis.
Yes, both teams a point. Well done. So Gage and Morgan. What is the gas given by plants that people and animals need?
Oxygen.
Both teams a point. Well done. Next two. Not yet. Carson will have Arthur, and then your turn, sir. What is the energy, or what provides the energy that helps plants make food?
Sunlight.
Boys have it. Next two, Carson and Lexi. Tell me the part that I leave out in photosynthesis. Chlorophyll, carbon dioxide, water.
Sun.
Boys have it. Next two, Dev and Carly. Excuse me, Anna. What part of the plant makes seeds?
Flower.
Girls were here faster. Next two. And Kathleen. What is the yellow powdery dust formed by the flower?
Pollen.
Tie, both teams a point. Well done. So Josh and Madison. What is the act of moving pollen from one flower to another?
Pollination.
Tie, both teams a point. Good. Asa and Cadence. What is the part of a flowering plant that holds and protects the seeds?
Fruit.
Fruit. Boys have it. Next to Jackson and Una. What do we call a forest containing many needled trees that bear cones? Tie, both teams a point. Next two. Tell me the forest that grows in tropical climates.
Tropical forest.
Tie, both teams a point. Next two. What is the forest that grows in temperate climates with leaves that change by season? No points. Neither of you waited for me to finish. Next two, Presley and Morgan. Temperate forest would have been the correct answer, though. A forest is made up of many.
Plants.
Boys have it. Next two, Gage and Carly. Tell me the type of tree that has cones instead of flowers.
Pine tree.
Girls have it. Next two. Tell me the type of forest where there is much rain.
Tropical rainforest.
Boys have it. I like that complete answer. He said tropical rainforest. That is most correct. Carson and Amaya. What type of climate, hot or cold, does a conifer forest grow best in?
Cold.
Boys have it. Cold is correct. Dev and Anna. What do we call the stem of a tree?
Trunk.
Tybo teams a point. Way to think. Caden and Kathleen. What are the circles in the wood of a tree trunk?
And yours.
Boys have it. Next two. Josh and Madison. What do we call each annual ring?
Years of growth.
Yes, and specifically how many?
One.
One. Girls have it. It must be 1 year of growth. Not all of them, but each ring represents 1 year of growth. So Asa and Cadence. What are the lighter rings called?
Sapwood.
Boys have it. Next two. What do we call the dark rings?
Hardwood.
Boys have it. Next two. What is the skin of a tree that protects the sapwood?
Fern.
Tie, both teams a point. Next two. What do thin rings mean?
That got little rain.
Yes, good, Jimmy. Little rain. Presley and Morgan. What word means to break down?
Decay.
Tie, both teams a point. During rains often become blocked due to less.
Sunlight.
Yes, girls have it. Next two. Well done. What breaks down in the leaf so that it cannot make food?
Chlorophyll.
Or when it cannot make food? Correct. Chlorophyll is the correct answer. Carson and Amaya. Rain helps dead leaves begin to do what?
Decay.
Girls have it. A hair faster. Well done, Dev and Anna. What do we call a living thing? Students watching? Anyone? Jimmy?
Observation.
Una?
Organism.
Organism is the correct answer. Next two, Kanan and Kathleen. An organism that helps to break down dead things is called a? Students watching? Anyone? Carson?
Decomposer.
Decomposer is correct. Boys have it. So let's have Josh and Madison. Tell me one plant-like organism that cannot make its own food.
Fungi.
Yes, you've got it. The next would be bacteria. So we've got Asa and Cadence. Next, tell me the single cell that is able to reproduce living organisms. Students watching? Anyone? Arthur?
Workers.
Just one would be a?
Workers.
Emily?
Spore.
Spore is correct. The single cell, the one cell, is called a spore. Girls have it. Next two. So Jackson and Una. Tell me the smallest part Students watching? Anyone? Josh? Morgan? Sal. Girls have it. Well done. Jacob and Emily. Tell me a green plant which begins as a spore instead of a seed. Tie. Both teams a point. Well done. Next two. A case of many spores is called a? Yes, good, Jimmy. Presley and Morgan. What is often called a soil builder?
Moss.
You've got it, Morgan. Give me an example, Carly and Gage, of a thing that grows from spores. Students watching? Yes, mushroom is correct. You got it barely in the nick of time. So girls have that next to Arthur and Lexi. Are mushrooms green plants?
No.
Now why, Arthur? What do they not have? Students watching? Chlorophyll is right, so you get 2 points for that one. Let's take a look at our score. How many points for the girls team? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 31. And let's take a look at our boys' point score. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 36, 37. Boys, you may give yourself a pat on the back. Well done. Let's take a look inside of our science books to chapter 5. We're going to start at the very beginning and talk about some things test in our next lesson. So the beginning of chapter 5 is located on page 102. Page 102. Here you see some words or terms to remember. So take notice of the word replenish and reproduce. Looking over at page 103, you have several sentences in italics. Look at that first sentence in italics that starts underneath the title after its kind. We're going to read that italic sentence together, starting with life can only. Ready? Begin. Life can only come from life. Good. Now slide down to the middle of that column of writing. There you see a sentence. Why is it so important that plants reproduce after their kind? There's another sentence in italics. Let's read it together. All living things depend on plants. So that's something as well to take note of. Turn to page 104, and there you see on page 104 a comprehension check to read and look through. Looking at page 105, a term to remember at the top. Then in the picture, beside that picture, there is a sentence in italics starting with all flowering. Let's read that together. Begin. All flowering plants have seeds. Make sure you can take note of the parts of a seed, and you would be able to tell and label the different parts of a seed. Let's look at some of the italics under how does a seed sprout. We took a look at the term dormant, and there you see in italics, there's the definition for dormant. It is resting. Now the next group of words that are written in italics, water, the right temperature, and air, those are the things that we talked about a seed would need to sprout. Let's look at a seed coat. We're going to read the sentence starting with the seed coat is. Ready? Begin. The seed coat is like a shell that protects the baby plant from drying out or getting crushed. Good. Now skip down a little bit further. There's another sentence that has some italics in it as well. That starts with its tiny roots grow downward. Let's read that sentence together. Begin. Its tiny roots grows downward in search of water and minerals from the soil. Let's read the next sentence as well. Then the baby plant's tiny shoot grows upward in search of sunlight. Good. Turn to the next page at the top. This sentence in italics, in order for, let's read it together. Begin. In order for the baby plant to keep on growing, the soil must stay moist. Pause.
The baby plant will dry out
And die. All right, pause at the end of the word moist. That's where that italic stops, and that first sentence or that first part of the sentence is key. So that's something that you want to remember. Let's look at the last sentence in this group of words, this paragraph here before the something to try. When the baby plant, let's read that sentence. We'll read the entire thing together. Begin. When the baby plant breaks through and develops leaves, it will make its own food. Good. Take a look at the next page. Here you see again the parts of a seed and a comprehension check that you'll want to read through. Turn the page. Take a look at the terms to remember. These are words and definitions that you'll want to know. Underneath plant structure in italics, you see the different parts that we've talked about in a plant. Then you see them labeled in that picture as well. You'll want to know those. Look under the title for roots. That very first sentence, a plant's roots. Let's read that together. Begin. A plant's roots are designed to grow downward. Good. Now let's read the next sentence in italics. One of the roots' jobs. Ready? Begin. One of the roots' jobs is to absorb water and minerals from the soil. Good. There you see a picture of the root hairs. That is referred to as the root's mouth. Let's read this sentence in italics, starting with root hairs absorb. Ready? Begin. Root hairs absorb water and minerals from the soil and send them through the stem to all parts of the plant. Good. Look at the top of the next page, starting with the roots also hold. Let's read that sentence. Begin. The roots also hold the plants in the ground. Good. So that's something you'll want to remember. Let's take a look underneath the title, stems, and that very first sentence with the stem's job. Ready? Begin. The stem's job is to carry water and minerals from the roots upward. Pause. And there, the end of that italics is written. So just remember that very first part. That's extra key for us to remember. The next sentence in italics, I'm going to read it so you listen. The stem takes food down to its roots for storage. So you'll want to remember that. Turn the page. On the next page, you see a comprehension check that you'll want to read through and make sure you know the terms and facts there. Take a look at the top of page 111, some more terms to remember. Underneath leaves, there's a sentence in italics. A leaf's job is to make food for the plant. And here then you see the picture of photosynthesis that we've talked about in the different parts. So make sure you can understand what are the ingredients that are needed in photosynthesis. Under the title of how do plants make their own food, take note of the word chlorophyll. That's the green material in plants. Turn the next page. There you see another comprehension check to look through. At the top of page 113, some more terms to remember and some more definitions. Take note of the terms flower, pollen, and pollination. Turn the page. On this page, you see the title of fruit on the middle of the page, and notice that the fruit is the part of the plant that is the structure that holds and protects the seeds. And there's a couple examples to look through there. Take a look at page 115, the comprehension check. You'll want to make sure you know the facts here. Turn the page, look at page 117. Here you want to be able to do these as well if needed on a test, labeling the parts of a plant, being able to match the job with what the part of the plant is, and giving those correct answers at the bottom. Turn the page, let's look at page 118, terms to remember at the top, and then under the title of forest, a forest, as we explore the forest, we will also observe a variety of plant life. So it's not just all the same. It's not just trees. There are many different kinds of variety. Take a look at page 119. There's kinds of forests. Here you see examples of a conifer forest, a temperate forest, and a tropical forest. Know those terms and sentences in italics as well. Turn the page, another comprehension check you'll want to look through. And then at the top of page 121, some more terms to remember. Here you see the parts of a tree, the crown, the trunk, and the roots. Let's stand and do those parts together. Ready, begin. Crown, trunk, roots. One more time. Crown, trunk, roots. Be seated. Excellent job. Here you'll want to take notice of the jobs of the crown, or which parts make up the crown, what the trunk is, and what the roots do, and where they would be on a tree. Turn the page. Here you see how old is a tree. This is where we talked and learned about the annual rings, the heartwood, the sapwood, the bark. So be able to take note of the differences between each of those in the parts of the tree. On page 123, here you have the layers of the tree as well, with the term and the definition and a comprehension check that you'll want to look through. Turn the page. Let's look at page 124, terms to remember, decay, and then here's some sentences in italics. Look at this one. Winter is the time of year that the maple tree rests. So that is the specific season that a maple tree rests in. Look at this next sentence in italics. With less sunlight, the veins of the leaf become blocked. And the next sentence in italics, the chlorophyll inside the leaf cannot work. It breaks down. So remember those key sentences in italics. At the top of page 125, let's read those sentences. There's two of them that we're going to read that are in italics. Ready? Begin. Rain begins to fall. It helps the leaf to break down into tiny pieces or decay. And then here you have a comprehension check you'll want to look through. Turn to the next page, terms to remember. Read through those terms and definitions. Look at decomposers of the forest. Know the terms and definitions, the sentences in italics, the phrases in italics here. And then turn to page 128. The next page, 128. More terms to remember at the top. And then underneath green plants that grow from spores, you've got ferns and mosses. And then a sentence here in italics. They reproduce using spores instead. Take a look at spore cases. Each spore case contains hundreds of spores. And then on page 129, moss, which is nicknamed a soil builder. Then turn to page 130. Let's take a look at page 130 and 131. Here you have fungi or plants that grow from spores. Mushrooms and toadstools are not green plants. They grow very well in the dark, shady forest. On page 131, you'll want to make sure that you know those facts from that comprehension check as well, and then you'll have completed your things and terms to remember, your studying tips that you'll need to be ready for your test in the next lesson.